Hey guys, welcome to another Optmyzr video with search professionals from around the world. Today I have Chris Ridley with me, and Chris is a fantastic example of how you can build your career in PPC, whether you come from a marketing background or not. And Chris has a fantastic story to tell us. If you're thinking about getting started in search marketing, or if you just started, if you're branching out, or even if you want to skill up in paid search on the side, Chris's story is fantastic, and he's going to share some great advice. He's going to tell us about his experiences, and hopefully you guys can pick up some of that and apply it and grow in your own careers. So Chris, thanks for joining us today. Tell us about yourself and tell us what kind of background you came from.
Thanks for having me, Ashwin. So before I got into PPC marketing, I actually had a quite varied background. I started off in the hospitality industry where I worked behind the bar, worked in the kitchen, and I also became a manager where I learned a lot of people management skills, as well as learning to multitask and think on my feet. And then my first marketing role was actually for a family-run stainless steel company in the manufacturing industry, where I had to do a wealth of things, including their social media, organising live events for them, including designing their stands, as well as helping them run their websites and even do a bit of lead generation, finding prospects within the industry. And I was there for 11 months and I learned a wealth of stuff and got my first hands on Google Ads as well as PPC. And that's where my passion for PPC started. And then I got into my first marketing agency role at Cab Studios, based in Ulster, down in the West Midlands of England. Mm-hmm. And that's where I got into a wealth of different avenues and different channels. And that's where I really started to find my feet in PPC.
Tell us about what you do now. I think you come from a pretty interesting background, but what is it that you do at Evoluted now? And how did you grow into that role?
Yeah, so I joined Evoluted back in April 2021 as a PPC executive. And in my short time there, I've promoted up towards a PPC specialist. And my role hasn't changed too much. I've just taken on a few more extra responsibilities. So when I started initially, I was managing Google Ads and Microsoft Ads accounts for half a dozen accounts. But then as the head of PPC at Evoluted left, and a role opened up, I started progressing my way up, and I've helped with more pitching to new clients, doing audits on any potential new accounts we're bringing in, as well as supporting the wider team within Evoluted marketing department as a whole.
So what would you say is like your favorite part of all of that? Do you enjoy like getting into the weeds and actually managing accounts? Do you enjoy like the more strategic part? What's your favorite?
So there's two for me, actually. The one is kind of learning the new features and new strategies that are always showing up. So with the new Performance Max campaigns that came into Google Ads, I've really enjoyed kind of digging deep and experimenting with those at the moment. But I also love the part where I get to just sit down with clients, whether that's virtually like we are now or in person, and kind of just go through their business and see how, from a PPC and just a general point of view, that I and Evoluted can help them. Whether that is looking at their stocking system, whether that is looking at, their offline marketing, or just new ways to use PPC marketing to promote their business.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of people where, search marketers are kind of getting out of looking at their screen and just like pulling the levers, and then more involved with how businesses operate, supply chains, managing stock, especially if you have clients who are in e-commerce and they have retail, physical retail, and online retail. How are you splitting stock between the two channels, stuff like that. What kind of customers and clients do you work with? Is it mostly e-commerce or services?
So I actually manage a range of them. So I've got a handful of e-commerce ones who are either digital only, so online only, or got a bit of brick and mortar and online presence. I also have a few lead gen as well across different industries, including mortgage and housing, as well as cloud software as well.
Yeah, so working with like different clients must have really sped up that learning process, where you were able to see like what works for different businesses and different business models and stuff like that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about like some of the challenges that you had to overcome during your initial time with Evoluted?
Yeah, so one of the initial challenges I've faced was one that I've already mentioned, is the departure of the head of PPC that we had. This one opened a big opportunity for me, but also opened a big vacuum in terms of my support system. Luckily, Ash, the MD and co-owner of Evoluted, and Giorgio, the head of marketing, really stepped up and kind of helped me and the team with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just adjusting to that change where I didn't have that person above me to ask for advice straight away, where I just learned on my feet on how to research more, how to just grow myself. And another challenge I had was just Google's ever-changing landscape and the whole digital marketing landscape. Every week there seems to be something new in the news about a new algorithm or a new feature within Google Ads or something leaving. So I've just been trying to keep on my feet with that as well.
Nice. Any resources that kind of helped you find your feet quickly or helped you learn things?
Some of the big ones I'd recommend is the Marketing O'Clock podcast and the Discord channel. You can find all the information via Cypress Hill and the Marketing O'Clock Twitter profiles. They have all the links there. I also really use the PPC Chat hashtag by Julie Bacchini. That is a big one as well. You can go on there every Tuesday, 5 p.m. UK time, and you can just ask people any question you want and they'll get back to you. They've really helped me a lot. And over the last 4 years, I've learned that Google is your biggest ally and your biggest enemy in terms of digital marketing. Always Google and find the answers. But just remember that you can't trust what you read 2 weeks ago because it'll always change.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the biggest things that we notice with the people that I speak to and then the people who I work with is this constant conflict, like you said, how Google is both your best friend and your worst enemy. And I think you can't escape it at this point. Like, automation is here. It's just a question of how well are you willing to work with it? You know, how do you view it as something you cooperate with or constantly be in conflict with? And we've seen and heard from a lot of people that working with automation is it's unqualified an improvement over resisting it. I think it's just a question of making sure you have oversight, making sure you have insurance so that your accounts are basically determined by you, and it's not just Google or any other platform randomly making decisions for you. So everybody who's watching who needs these resources, check the YouTube description. We've got all the links in there. I recommend PPC Chat as well. So I've only been in PPC for about 2 years myself, and PPC Chat has been my single biggest educator. I've learned so much just by joining in, learning and listening to people. And like you said, you know, making sure you stay up to date with changes. If you're working in PPC and you already have access to accounts, budgets, definitely go in and play around with stuff. If you have an experimental budget, test everything that Google puts out. And I think like Chris said, you just have to make sure that you're not just listening, but you're actually in the system and seeing how things impact performance.
Yeah, exactly that. And when you're talking about kind of keeping your finger on the pulse and learning, a big recommendation I've got is signing up to the TLDR marketing.com newsletter. The team there sends out a newsletter every day summarizing the news that's happened in 1 or 2 sentences with a link to the full articles. That's where I find all my big breaks of news, and it really helps me keeping my finger on the pulse and kind of keeping myself one step ahead of what the industry is up to. And in the PPC chat, you know, just drop people a message even outside of the designated hour of PPC chat each Tuesday. Drop a message and someone will respond. It's an absolute great community to be in.
Go back to where you were a year ago or a year and a half ago. Other than these 2 things, what's the one piece of advice that you'd give to yourself as you started your career in search marketing?
So a year and a half ago or further back, I'd just tell myself now, just keep Googling, keep asking people questions. If you're ever unsure about something, just ask. You know, there's a real sense of imposter syndrome within our industry, which is rife. And the only way to counter that is just understanding that no one understands everything, and that admitting that you don't understand something or you need a little bit of help is just going to help you and everyone else. You know, I see a lot of people struggle, and a part of my role at Evoluted is a happiness and wellbeing officer. So a big part of what I do is helping people overcome that. So that would be the biggest advice I give. In terms of digital marketing, just keep Googling, go onto Reddit, check on the Reddit subreddits as well. There's loads of them out there, the different parts of digital marketing, and just ask in Twitter as well. Just look for that information.
Chris, tell us a little bit more about the work with wellness in the workplace and what you do to support people.
So at Evoluted, I am the Happiness and Wellbeing Officer. A big part of that is becoming certified as a mental health first aid responder, so I can actually help people when they need it. Another part is becoming a liaison with all of our wellbeing partners, including Sanctus, who provide us 45-minute coaching sessions each month.
That's super cool. I mean, I feel it myself. I've been working from home for the last 2 years. It gets tough. And then when you work in marketing where, sometimes it's kind of difficult to actually gauge your impact because, let's be honest, attribution isn't the most accurate thing in the world. So sometimes you just don't know, is the stuff that I'm working on really making a difference for the business and for the people who buy our products and services? So it's super cool that you're doing that work. I think it's absolutely necessary. And I think in a creative discipline like marketing, imposter syndrome, like you said, creeps up really quickly. And if you don't take steps to remind yourself that you're doing good stuff, it's super easy to get lost into that. So well done. I'm super proud of that.
Cheers. And I totally hear you about not understanding how your efforts are impacting your clients and your work, especially with lockdown across the world happening and people working from home the last 2 years. You don't get to see the impact you're having, and you don't get to have that soundboarding you normally get from other people. So I totally feel you there, Ashwin. And as much as attribution is a pain, the one thing you got to do is just look at the small wins that you get each week, and just take note of them and kind of remind yourself, I did that. So that would be a great way of kind of keeping yourself on track of the progress you are making.
Yeah, I think all the advice that you've shared so far is a great way for people who are starting out or trying to branch out into paid search. Put all of Chris's advice into practice, see what works for you. And I know you'll find a couple of things that definitely help with making sure that you believe in the work you're doing. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day, that you believe in the work you're doing and you're with a team that believes in the work you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. When I joined Evoluted, I found that team. Every time I talk to someone, they're talking about the wins and the successes of not just themselves, but the team around them. And having that support is absolutely great to kind of keep your morale up as well. So I recommend people, whether that is in your workplace, whether that is in your social circles or in an online community, find that support system, just to keep you on the right track.
Definitely. And it sounds like Evoluted is a great place to work. So Chris, why don't you tell people a bit about the agency? I know you have some open roles, so let people know where to find that and also where to connect with you and follow you on social media.
Yeah, so Evoluted are a multi-channel marketing agency, and we also provide a development service as well, where you can get new websites and new apps built. We do have a few openings as well on the development and the marketing side, including the head of PPC, digital PR, content and technical SEO roles. These can all be found on our website at evoluted.net. If you want to meet us in person and you're in the UK, we're also running a Sheffield DM event, which is a digital marketing meetup that we have every other month. The next one is on the Thursday, 17th of Feb, and it will be at the Workstation in Sheffield. It starts at 5 p.m. I really recommend that you pop down to it. You can find out more details at sheffielddm.co.uk. We also have an Eventbrite where you can reserve a ticket if you do want to attend. And yeah, we offer great remote working and hybrid working, as well as flexible working hours as well. So you can really make it suit you.
Nice. If you guys are interested in a career with Evoluted or meeting them in Sheffield, so check the description. You got the links right there. And Chris, how can people connect with you, talk to you, learn with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. If you just search my name, Chris Ridley. Or you can find me on the more active Twitter, which is at @C_J_Ridley, where I share all my PPC and digital marketing tips, as well as some of my mental health and well-being advice as well.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. If you guys have any further questions, go ahead and get in touch with Chris directly on Twitter. My Twitter is also in the link. So you guys have any questions, we have additional resources that we can direct you to. PPC Chat is a great place to get started. They've got a great compilation of resources for anybody getting started in PPC. So go ahead, dig in. It's not a scary business to work in. In fact, in my experience, there are plenty of other marketing disciplines that are less welcoming and less inclusive. And paid search online is just a fantastic community. So get your hands dirty, go experiment, learn, ask, be open to new information, and be receptive to change. So good luck as you build your careers. We're here for you. And remember to take time for yourself. Make sure that you're eating well, sleeping well, have good balance in your life, and the work will come.
Yeah, definitely will. And if you do need any more advice or you don't feel confident enough to speak out into the public community, drop one of us a message. We're always here for you.